Hello, everybody. It's been a long time since I made any videos, but I recently came across the book tag on BookTube called Confessions of a Book Collector. And I think it's supposed to be tag Tuesday, but this will be tag Thursday instead. And I wanted to give this one a response because I saw Steve Donahue's response, and I thought this was pretty interesting. And I realized that I am probably a book collector, but I am very much in disagreement with a lot of what Steve says in his video, or at least I don't feel the same way. And that's not any slight on Steve. Steve Donner is one of my favorite YouTubers. So, and what's wonderful about him is that you can disagree with him, and it's all perfectly civil. So, but this tag has 8 different prompts that I will go to, and the first one, let's get right into it, right? So the first one is, I own more books than I can realistically read. Define realistically. If I stopped buying books today, I'm pretty sure that I would be able to read everything I have. But in the last couple of years, I read about 50 books a year, 55 maybe. And the last couple of years, I've bought more than 55 books each year. So the challenge accumulates. But I do plan on in the future buy less books every year than I read, in which case I should eventually catch up. Um, the second prompt is, I have bought books just because they were beautiful. And here my reply will be the same as Steve's. And the crux is in the word just. I have bought books because they were beautiful, but not only because of that. I wouldn't buy a beautiful binding or very beautiful illustrated version of a book that I had absolutely zero interest in reading. I do only own books that I have an interest in reading. Whether I will eventually get to all of them is another matter, but I am interested. The third prompt is also one of the ones that Steve doesn't understand at all, and that is, finding a great book is sometimes more exciting than reading it. And again, this one I actually also think I agree with Steve. I don't think that unless it's a rare edition of a favorite book of mine, then I'll be very overjoyed to find it. But if it's a favorite book of mine, then I also very much enjoyed reading it. So I don't think the thrill of the hunt for books is more exciting than reading them in general, but it adds to the fun. Number 4, I've bought duplicates by accident or because I liked a different edition. I've done both. I have bought duplicates by accident. I've done so recently where I bought 2 versions of Sophie's Choice by William Styron. And I've also bought 2 identical editions of The Adolescent by Dostoevsky that I also posted about on my Instagram. So that definitely happens more often than I would like. Number 5, I sometimes rearrange my shelves for fun. No, it's not fun to rearrange the shelves. I do sometimes rearrange them because I have certain thematics or order to the books. I put them in alphabetical order after the author's last name, but divided into subsections. So I have all my Eastern Press and Franklin Library in one part of my bookcases, and I have my Penguin Modern Classics in another, and I have a Japanese shelf, I have a Russian shelf, I have one shelf for Murakami, one for Cormac McCarthy, and so on and so forth. I have psychology books on one shelf. So sometimes I'll get more books than can fit in one shelf, and then I'll have to figure out how to rearrange them in a way that still makes sense. But I don't think it's fun. Um, Number 6, there are books I'll probably never read, but I'll never get rid of them. Again, I am interested in reading all the books I have. So no, I would say that doesn't apply to me. Number 7, I have bought books simply because they were a bargain. And again, here I agree with Steve. I realize I started this video saying that I disagree with a lot of what Steve said in his video, but his actual answers to the questions, I guess I don't disagree with. It's just that he had a lot of other comments along the way that I thought didn't really, what wasn't how I thought about it. But it turns out that we're actually not that much in disagreement. And the crux of this question here is the same as in question number 2, I've bought books simply because they were a bargain. No, not simply. I wouldn't buy a book just because it's cheap. If it's very cheap, I'll take more of a chance of a book, just like Steve talks about in his Brattle book hauls. If you have access to a thrift store where they're $1 a piece or a pound or whatever, you can take chances. I've also had some purchases where I buy from a seller on eBay or 8books or something, and you get a combined shipping discount. So I look through that seller's inventory, and the threshold for whether I will buy a second or third book might be lower because I get it for a discount with the shipping, which otherwise shipping books from especially overseas to Denmark is quite expensive. So in that sense, it adds to how willing I am to purchase a book if it's a bargain. But I wouldn't buy any book just because it was cheap. Then I would just be able to just buy, any lot of any random books based on color or something that I could get on eBay, and I wouldn't do that. And the last question, I like the idea of having certain books even if I don't plan to read them soon. Yes, I said I was interested in reading all of them, but I have lots of books that I don't actively have on any TBR. And I collect books, so I like to collect my favorite authors or books within a certain genre, subgenre. And can be a bit of a completionist, so I would like to have all the books by Cormac McCarthy, which I of course have, but I would also like to have them in different editions. I even have books in languages that I can't read. I have the first Spanish edition of Outer Dark, La Oscuridad Exterior, I think, something like that. I only read very little Spanish. I'll never read that book in Spanish, but I collect McCarthy, so and I've read Outer Dark, of course. So I'd like to have that edition. I would also like to get the French edition of Blood Meridian, so on and so forth. I bought the new Japanese edition by Murakami, which I forget the name of, but because I was traveling in Japan and I was on Fukuoka and I visited a bookstore and they had it, and I thought it would be a nice souvenir to have from that trip. So I definitely understand, I definitely feel that there are some books that I like to have, even though I don't plan on reading them soon, or in some cases, even though I can't read them in the language they're in. So the ending question, what's one confession you have as a book collector? Yeah, and what something that you do that you think other collectors understand. I'm not sure if that's two questions or one, but I'm going to answer the same anyway. And it's that I lie about how much the books I buy cost to my wife, and she will never find out because she will never watch this video, not more than the first 10 seconds of it anyway. So yeah, I think most other collectors of anything will probably understand that. Maybe I don't lie, but I evade the question, or I downplay it, or I plead a fifth, or I say I can't really remember, or maybe I give the right amount but the wrong currency. There's all kinds of ways you can get around this little problem. So that was the confessions of a book collector tag, and if you haven't done this tag and you would like to do it, I suggest that you do. It's quite a lot of fun. Thank you very much, and I'll see you around.